I want to talk about a strategy I teach my students that banks and insurance companies and brokerage firms do not want you to know. Use an example. A client walked in my office in 2007. He had a $3 million portfolio he had inherited. He wanted to invest in Vanguard VUG. It tracks the S&P 500, low cost. He liked that concept, buy and hold. He was good with that. I said, well, let's do something a little bit differently. I said, what if we just bought call options? Now, there was no call options on VUG at the time, but there was on the SPY, which is the same thing. It tracks the S&P 500. I said, well, let's buy call options on the S&P 500. And if you buy 200 call options on the S&P 500, you can replicate $3 million dollar for dollar, but you're only spending $404 instead of $3 million. So you've got $400,000 in the market instead of $3 million in the market. That's a good thing. Problem is, if the market's flat in 2.5 years, he would lose the 404, where his $3 million would have been flat. Well, I said, well, let's do this. Let's take the difference between what you brought in, $3 million, and how much the options cost, which is 2.5, and let's invest that in a treasury that matures at the same time as the call option. He said, that sounds great. You'll end up with $2.9 million guaranteed at the end of 2.5 years. That interest will grow to $330, and you'll have that. But you still will have a slight negative balance because the options are 2020. You're going to end up with $74,209 in hard costs. That's how much more you'd have to spend to get 100% of the upside with no downside. Well, that comes out to about 1% a year, 2.47%. I said, are you willing to spend 2.4% to insure your portfolio over the next 2.5 years with absolutely no downside? He said, yeah, that sounds good. Well, that was a good move because in December of 2009, his fund VUG went from 63 to 40, so he would have lost 35%, or his $3 million would have lost $1 million plus. He ended up only losing $74,000 in carry costs, which was a home run for him. If the market had gone up, 30%, his $3 million would have made $900,000, but he would have had to subtract out his carry cost. But if the market goes down, all he has is just losing his carry cost. The last thing he said to me was, Dom, what if I didn't want to pay the $74,000? Can I get rid of this carry cost? I said, absolutely. I'm going to go into that in the next video. Thanks for listening.